Happy New Year! It's 2025, and you got a reason to be alive. 2024 was one for the records. I can't believe that February of last year, I launched the Jamal Bryant Podcast, and guess what? Over 30 million of you have watched and logged in. Even more than that, over 90,000 subscribers. I'm still trying to get to 100. Why are you not following yet? Ladies and gentlemen, this year is going to be better, brighter, bolder, and bigger, and I want you locked in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing something I've done no other time before. I want to give you access to behind the scenes. I want to give you moments to do Q&A with some of my guests. I want to do intensives to give you some gems and to drop some bombs and to give you tools and keys, but I need you to subscribe. All it is $9.99. I want you in my inner circle of trust. We did so much last year traveling the country with Kirk Franklin, registering people to vote. We did Project 555. We did town hall meetings. This year, there's a whole lot we're going to do, but I can't do it without you. I can't blast it all to everybody. I've got to keep it close, and I got to keep it tight. So I want you to subscribe. Do a gift for yourself. I need you to know this, that gym memberships triple in the month of January because people want their bodies right. I want your mind to be right. And so this subscription is less than it costs for you to go to the gym. So come on, subscribe. Stop playing with me. Today, we're going to do something different. We're going to do the electric slide and go back, and forth. We're going to go back and look at some of the most memorable moments of last year that I laughed about, I cried about, and I had to think about. Stay tuned, because there will be no shades of gray. We all are going to be clear this year. This is a time for us to really reflect, to reminisce, and to remember on the good times. Some of the best moments of 2024. I want to walk you through some of my favorite episodes, and if you missed any of them, I want you to go back and watch all of it. This is just the highlight reel. There are no tackles, it's only touchdowns. And the first one I want you to see is my adopted baby sister, Jessie Wu, the self-appointed ambassador from Haiti, even though she was born in Florida. But I want you to see this interview. She talks about what it means to be raised by a preacher, what it means to be raised by a preacher who is a drug dealer, what it means to be a PK, what it means to date in these streets, and what it means to live beyond controversy. You're going to laugh, and then you're going to think. Come on to see what Jessie talking about. Tell me how you think your upbringing impacted your dating life.
Oh, Lord, how much time do we have?
We got time. That's all we got.
You know what? Dang, why are you asking me these questions?
Because I want to know. The people want to know.
Oh, my gosh. Why are you asking me this? So my therapist actually told me this the year before last. My therapist said I have abandonment issues. And so I think that I have a knack for going for people who don't keep their word.
Ooh.
Like I remember being a kid and my mom, even though they divorced and we moved to Miami, my mom always sent me to Canada every summer. So my dad had no excuse. Like my grandmother, my aunts, I still have a lot of family up there. So I would be there for 3 months out of the year. And then if she wanted to send me some other time, she would.
Right.
But that was my dad. So you can have that opportunity. It's summertime, you have that opportunity. Right. And I remember so many times when he would say, I'm gonna come pick you up. Ma vinchasho. Nobody sorti. I'm like, okay. And I'm getting ready. I'm like, Grandma, my dad gonna come get me. And she'd be like, okay.
Now, was this his mother or your mother's mother?
My mother.
Your mother's
My mother's mother.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a close relationship with my mother's mother. My dad's mom, she died when I was young.
Okay.
So yeah, she's like, okay, he's coming to get you. Okay, sweetie, you know. I'm like,
yeah, let's see.
He's coming to get me, and like he wouldn't come.
Right.
And I just remember just feeling like, dang, why doesn't he want me? What is it about me that you don't want me? Like, just feeling that as a kid. And then I think growing up and then starting to go into relationships, I feel that a lot. Like, you'll say you're going to do something, you don't do it.
Right.
And you'll make promises, you don't keep them. And it makes you feel very, like, unwanted. Like, why don't you want me? What is it about me that you won't fight for me? What is it about me that you won't commit to me? My father never committed to me.
Wow.
And then I think being the oldest, I have 3 younger siblings, and I was always expected to do a lot. I feel like I was a mom at a very young age. But I didn't get the mothering. It was always, Jess, I need you to do this. Jess, I need you to do that. I gotta go to work, so I need to sleep. So can you make sure the kids have this? Can you make sure the kids have that? Can you go pick up your brother? Can you pick up your sister? And it's like, I didn't get that. Nobody really
provided that
for me, like, or that I never felt a closeness with my mother. I feel like my mom was always just trying to get by, trying to make things work. So I didn't have that with my mom. I felt very abandoned with her, and I didn't have my dad. So I feel like in relationships, I found the same thing. Like, I will go above and beyond. Like, if I'm in a relationship, like, I'll do a lot for you. You won't even have to ask. But I feel like I never have that in return. I always end up feeling abandoned. And so for me, a lot of times what I'll do is the moment I, like, see certain signs, I'm gone. Like, I've had a guy tell me that before. Like, he'll say, I'm so scared of you. Like, you just will up and leave. Like, you don't even, like, will tell me, well, where did I go wrong? I'm like, well, I feel like you should already know that.
Right.
So for me, I'm just like, all right, before you leave me, I'm gone. Like,
if there's any sign,
I'm gone. Yeah,
I'm
like,
kicking the door down if there's a crack in it.
I'm gone. You ain't got to worry about me. I got my tennis shoes on. I'm out. Like,
right.
Yeah.
When intimately, when stuff will happen in the press, media, social media, I'll reach out to you, make sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
When the whole Whitney Houston thing happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like, you did.
You gonna live.
Yeah, you did.
But I'm curious now in this conversation, is that why you were so triggered when the stuff went wrong when you tried to date a preacher?
Ooh. Oh, you know that story.
Oh, you gave it to the whole world. You gave it to the whole world.
You know that story.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I took that as this wasn't just a random person who you encountered and dated, but it had layers.
Oh, there were layers.
Based off of
there were layers.
What your experience was and then bringing that to bear.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you this. My mother, Haitian parents, they want nothing but the best for their mother, their daughters when you're going to go marry, when you're going to go date. They want you to be doctor. You have to bring doctor, ingénieur. You know what I mean? Avocat, lawyer. And if you say preacher, that's a good one too, because contrary to a lot of beliefs, people think that Haitians don't believe in God, and that's so untrue. Yeah. Like, we're one of the most, like, even we have a saying in the Haitian culture, si Dieu veut, if God's will, if it be God's will, right? So let's say you say, oh, we're going to meet Monday. I'll say, okay, Monday, si Dieu veut. Lundi is Monday in Creole. So lundi, si Dieu veut. So everything is like God's will, God's will. So I remember.
Say God's will in Creole again.
Si Dieu veut.
You got to say that slow. I got a GED. Si what now?
Si Dieu veut.
Mm-hmm. Si Dieu veut.
Si Dieu veut.
I got it. Mm-hmm. God's will.
God's will. If
you gonna
if
hear
it
me
be
say
God's
that
will,
again?
Yeah. Yes. So you'll say we're gonna meet up on Monday, but Monday, si Dieu veut. So that's always something that we say. So if I tell my mom, like, I met a preacher and, I met this, I met that. I remember meeting him before we ever became
that.
I met him like probably a year and a half, 2 years before that. And at the time, he wasn't preaching anymore. He had moved to LA, and he was an actor, and he had said he was like a spiritual leader to a lot of people that were in the business. And, you know, I was like, okay. But it just was always a little, one thing about me, I always have questions.
Yes.
And I try not to be interrogative, but I can be an interrogator. And that's something I'm trying to,
No, it's better for you to ask questions.
It is, but
because
I think,
otherwise you're going to be left with the answer later on.
Exactly.
So ask all of the questions. This is for everybody listening. No. Never be afraid of questions.
Exactly.
Ask them.
Exactly. But I think for me, there's a softer way to do it, though.
Okay.
Because I can be very thick. Like, I could be like that. I don't know if it's a Haitian thing, but I can be thick, you know. So I try to soften up. But so when we had become like romantic, I did start asking more questions. Because he wasn't pastoring anymore. He wasn't getting placements like in acting.
Right.
And acting is not something that pays you a lot of money initially.
Right.
And so I'm seeing you with a fleet of cars. You got a Range Rover. You got the Wraith with the stars in the sky. You know what I'm saying? You got the, like you got the Bentley. You got the, the Rolls Royce. You got the BMW. So I'm asking questions now. Why you got a fleet of cars, and when I come to your house, you ain't got no food like in the fridge?
Yikes.
Or you're not eating unless
you buy Uber Eats. I got the whole thing.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was like, And then I remember him saying to me, I don't want to be a preacher anymore. I left that behind because they thought that I was doing all this stuff that I wasn't doing, but I need $10,000, and I'm getting asked to preach at a convention or something like that, preachers conference, and they want to pay me $10,000. I was like, well, go ahead and do it. But I don't want to do it because I don't know if I want to go back into that world. And I was like, well, don't do it. But I need the money. And I was like, is this man trying to ask me for $10,000?
No.
And so I said, do it. And he said he wouldn't do it. And so I looked up on my socials one day, and it was the date that he said that the conference was. He said he wouldn't do it.
Right.
And I guess we had mutuals, and somebody posted him at the conference. And the conference was here in Georgia. And I was like, that's strange that you didn't hit me up.
Right.
Tell me that you were doing it. But I had remembered he had mentioned another girl to me that he had dated. And he didn't know. And he didn't know that I knew her enough to reach out to her.
No.
And the moment...
No.
And the moment I reached out to her, she knew. She knew. She was like, what do you want to know? She knew.
That girl is absolutely crazy. Whenever you got a moment to pray for Jessie Wu. And while you praying for her, pray for me. If you need to see all of this, make sure you tap that link below. I want you to relive the entire broadcast, the entire show, so that you'll know that laughter is medicine for the soul. You're going to be healthy this year if you just watch this whole broadcast. Hey, this next episode, I need you to lean in and catch it. Keon Henderson, probably one of the most discussed preachers of this generation, out of Houston, Texas, got a whole lot to say about love. What he wrote in his book, he translated on this podcast. Even I had to take notes as I was getting ready for a brand new wedding, a brand new marriage. You need it for your own love life. Come and bring a pen and paper with you, because you got to learn all of this. In finding the courage to write this book on lazy love from failed relationships, what did you learn the most about you?
I learned that I was lazy.
And that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for stopping by.
Lazy, bro.
Wow.
Lazy.
What does that look like? What does that mean?
It means that I didn't do the work to overcome the trauma of the relationships I saw modeled in front of me. Every relationship that I saw in front of me from either of my parents ended in divorce. Except for one.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Every relationship ended in divorce. I had uncles, relationships ended in divorce.
Yeah.
Mentors, relationships ended in divorce. So I thought that the subscription or prescription for unhappiness was to move on. I'm not happy. I get to go because everybody before me went and I'm coming right behind you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the people who stayed married a long time went through what I went through
And persevered. Yeah.
I thought that they made it because the person they were with was a person that didn't cause them the issues that I had.
Yeah.
So I start blaming people. That's a lazy response too.
Yeah.
Blaming people. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Then I got aggressive about my goals and was too lazy to turn around to see if the people I was trying to feed were up for the ride. So here I am trying to build this church.
Yeah.
But I ain't turned around to see if building this church is destructing the home.
Yeah.
So I got to the place when I wrote this book, like, you know what? And I have not. You can't find an interview where I'm demeaning my ex-wife because she's not to blame for the dissolution of the marriage. And when I say that, I don't mean that she doesn't have part and parcel.
Yeah.
I mean that it does me or her no service for me to be on a public platform or a private one and to talk about what she didn't bring to the table. Because to talk about what she didn't bring to the table abstains me from taking credit for what I didn't bring to the table.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my full self. I didn't bring agape love. I didn't bring stick-to-itiveness. I didn't bring any of those things. And so now in my relationship with my wife, I hate to say it, but it was good that I was afflicted, that I might learn the statutes. Now I know where I was lazy because of what I had to go through as a result of being lazy.
No, that's powerful. Mine, I think, was a little bit different. That I was lazy because I was so fatigued from just loving me.
Jamal.
I had no energy left. I was in love with my ministry, in love with my goals, in love with my career, that I didn't want to put in the work. And so I put everything out there. By the time I got home, I was tired.
I could definitely
I was tired. I ain't have nothing
subscribe
left.
to that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had absolutely nothing left there. People have to know really at the base of your book that love is work.
Yeah. Yeah.
People look at Instagram, love is a vacation.
Yeah.
Love
Like
is
if
going
it don't
to
look
dinner.
like this,
Hey.
I don't want it. But see, you looking at these people holding hands saying, if it ain't like this, I don't want it. You don't understand that they understand that if they put the right picture out, you click it, you go over to YouTube and you watch it, they feed themselves based off of couple goals, but they don't sleep in the same room.
Wow.
So you up here talking about couple goals and you don't see the grind.
Yeah.
You don't know what's really going on. So, I realize it. And what you just said just resonated with me so much.
Yeah.
Because I was loving the pursuit of achievement. And it really is fueled by insecurity because you're really trying to prove that you are something by what you do. And, I didn't do enough work in the beginning to get over it.
Yeah.
And we stayed married almost 9-10 years. It was hard to go through a divorce after that length of time.
Yeah.
Where I am in my mind right now, recognizing that there are 4 things that I must always pay attention to.
Hold on, y'all write these 4 things down. Write these 4 things down. What are the 4 things?
These are 4 things.
Yes.
The 4 threats. The lack of respect. The lack of communication. The lack of forgiveness. And confusing sex with intimacy.
Woo! Y'all didn't get it. Give them 4 again. Run right, let a river run through it.
Respect.
Yes.
Forgiveness.
Yes.
Communication. Confusing sex with intimacy.
Listening to Keon is getting me ready for Valentine's Day. I needed that refresher course on not only how to love my wife better, but loving myself and putting my own ego in check. You need to hear it. And not only that, The person who you dating needs to watch this. I need you to press the link and send it to everybody who trying to holler, every person who's in your space, and everybody who thinks they getting ready to get close to you. After we leave Houston, the next city over, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I flew to Tulsa for a one-on-one special with my Baltimore homegirl, Chrisean. She spoke so much truth about transformation. We all are watching her come out of the cocoon and turn into the butterfly that God has called her to be. Let me tell you this. I was not ready to hear that girl sing. I thought I was just going to get a testimony. I did not sign up for all of this. But she kept it all the way real, 10 toes down. So much so that I sent this video to Kurt Franklin. I said, I done found Sunday's best. If you're not sure, press the link. But watch these clips right now. From the first time that we talked on the phone, you opened with, hey, we going to pray first. You ain't want to know nothing about no podcast, no interviews. Like, who is going to pray?
Oh,
and
yeah,
now you came in today and said prayer. Prayer is such a hard
weapon
and that a lot of young adults don't have. How did you move into that space where prayer became such a incredible part of who you are?
I feel like prayer been a part of my life since day one. I guess my mom, she'd be like, "Oh, don't forget your first prayer was hallelujah." So,
yeah.
And my siblings would like say, "Yeah, it's true." So
Yeah.
that's always been in the back of my head. And then faith, I always had faith. And
tell me how your prayer has changed in being the mom of a 1-year-old.
It got really intense and intentional. I had to be real with myself about like change and wanting better and needing better. So if I practice doing better, I will receive better.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, just living for my son, and I just want to be the best for real.
And you are. I think that you are really growing in enough time to really make an impact. Do you understand the weight that you carry as a role model?
Yeah, that's pretty much why I've been like undoing a lot and starting over, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't want to do worldly music no more and just do like gospel. Well, like hood gospel, I would say.
What is hood gospel? I want to know what hood gospel is.
Like Yahweh, Yahweh, there's only one way and it's God way. Yahweh, Yahweh, there's only one way and it's God way. Took my baby to get blessed and they said it's for clout. I'ma do my best for me and mine, that's from here on out. Trying to change my life, but all these demons keep attacking me. Ran back to my ex, the world saying it's toxicity. But they don't know he blessed me with my only son. That's why it's hard to let him go, but now I think I'm done. Who would've knew that a bundle of joy would fix my heart? I swear he gave me that fire when I was in the dark. I'm crying out to God to help me with these hard times. Don't want no drama, so I'm throwing up the peace signs. Yahweh, Yahweh, there's only one way and it's God way. Yahweh, Yahweh, there's only one way and it's God way.
You are anointed.
Music like that.
You are anointed.
I receive.
I mean, you are heavily anointed.
Amen.
You think I'm joking?
No.
You gonna change the world.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I felt all of it.
Yeah, I just feel like in my journey of just being lukewarm, kind of like went but so far, having faith, reading and praying went but so far, but obedience is everything. And then like spirit of discernment is a gift. So instead of like ignoring the gifts that I actually have through the Holy Spirit, by the grace of God, I want to facilitate that for real. And let God water that seed in my life.
Yeah.
And then Yeah. I don't know where else I was ready to say, but
No, you saying that Taylor Swift, after the presidential debate, made an endorsement of Kamala Harris, and 300,000 people went to go register to vote within 24 hours. Do you understand when you make a bold proclamation that you're standing for God?
yeah, I just want to stand for him wholeheartedly because
Yes, but how many people are going to come? You're going to start a whole revival.
But I don't know. It's just an understanding. I didn't really understand. I didn't think it was that important to be like, I don't know. I just thought like, okay, I can do this and do that.
Right.
And I can do this and do that. And then like the times I kept falling and falling and falling and kept getting back up. This one time I fell, I surrendered.
Yeah.
And when I did that, conviction came. I knew what to get rid of. I was
Yes.
kind of fighting it because I'm like, well, I got these records, all these big people, but I'm like, you right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And yeah, I just stopped. I just don't want to take the glory no more.
This may be the only podcast I've done that my children actually watched. It got me so many cool points. My daughters are in college and they started circulating it around the campus, talking about this episode. It made you think, it made you cry, it made you reflect on what it really means to be a Christian, and it challenged us not to judge people on the surface, but to really see their hearts. I'm telling you, that girl got a heart full of gold in a world full of aluminum foil. I love her. I'm cheering for her. I want to see her get to the next level. Every person you know who's trying to change and trying to transform and trying to make a difference in 2025, send them this podcast. Even if you don't need it, somebody you know does, and it may be your kid or it may be your homegirl or maybe your coworker. But everybody should see that episode. It's one of the best sermons I've ever heard in the form of an interview. Call security. That's what I needed to do after this interview with Ray J. I'm telling you, I was calling the Nation of Islam, the Fruit of Islam, the Boy Scouts. I was calling everybody, the deputies, citizens on patrol. Can y'all believe this year I got threatened? Whew. But Jesus be a fence all around me every day. I need him to protect me as I travel around the way. If you're not sure why, y'all need to see this clip from the episodes from Ray J. I hope I don't get sued for saying his name. Make sure you watch it.
You only going off of just us doing it.
No. What I am going off of, I want you to hear my intention. Whatever happened, whoever put it out, whoever produced it, whoever recorded it, where I am is you have outlived it.
But how when we still talking about it?
Yes. Because outliving it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
But outliving it means
Yes.
Outliving it. I haven't outlived it because I'm still living.
You're living, producing, you're thriving.
I know, but that's just something like, think about how far we could go without that.
Yeah.
Without that glitch.
Yeah. Is it a glitch?
It's a glitch.
Yeah.
It's a huge glitch.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali said, if you're the same man at 40 that you were at 20, you wasted 20 years. You're not that same man.
Totally different.
Correct?
Totally different.
Yeah, but we're not going to ignore you used to be Cassius Clay.
But
Right.
I was not the same man in my 20s.
Right.
Just because now I'm 40 and I've learned.
Yes.
But I was never the man that was in people's minds of who I was ever.
Right.
I was never that guy.
But you're reinventing that guy every day. Whether it's through electric bikes, whether it's through earbuds, whether it's through eyeglasses, now if it's through networks, we are seeing you as a 21st century Renaissance man. Very few men, Black men, have had the luxury of reinventing themselves in public.
You're right, and I feel that, but I also feel like it's a glitch because with all the things that was was taken from us
Yeah.
inside of this black ball community of cornering the market with just a few. It just, like, I was hanging off the roof of the hotel in Cancun. And I climbed off the roof and I went off to the side of the roof and I just laid down, right? So here's the hole down, all the way down here. And I'm just laying on my roof. I climbed over and I lay here. And I went to sleep. And I said, if I fall off, then it was meant to be. Right? If I fall off the roof because I just passed out and I actually just wanted to like lean over, then it was meant to be. So I went to sleep for like 2.5 hours, and then the hotel caught me, and then it went through all of this stuff, and then I had to go and do these tests or whatever, right? But at that moment, it was just like, yo, you want to make your family proud, but you're living a lie and still living.
Yeah. What is Ray J's truth? What's your truth? Had you rolled off of that roof, you would want what remembered about you? Not what other people say, not what other people think, not what other people blog. If you are able to have authority over your legacy, you want your legacy to be what?
I want my kids to have a good life and for them to live through my truth.
Yeah.
Not through what the things that would happen with all of these different speculations of this and that, and all of the, just whatever it is. I just want my kids to go, okay, this is who our dad was. And I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
I don't really care about nothing else. I just care about my kids. And I care about what they think, and I care about what they believe. And I don't want anybody to recreate something that's not real inside of their mind to leave them in doubt. And so to do that, I would have to risk all the money I have, all the money I made, all the money that I'm getting paid for, to be quiet, to not say nothing.
Yeah.
You sit.
And what is the cost? How much more does it cost you for your peace?
I don't know. Because if you tell me a crazy number, like, and maybe I need to go to church for this. But
Come
if
on.
you tell me a loud number, then I might take it.
Yeah.
And say F the truth because my kids is extremely good, which is horrible. What does that say about me?
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion?
Yeah.
That's a crazy number. 100, 200, 300,000 dollars. But then when you're dealing with like the 4s and the 5s and the 10s and the 15s, I don't know. That's not. So when I'm saying it's not enough, I'm still trying to understand what I'm saying if I want to live in my truth. If I want to live in my truth, then F the money.
I love Ray J. Put it on the record. That's my adopted little brother. There is no smoke. I'm telling you, we are good. I love him. He come to visit the church. We done hugged it out. It was one of the most transparent and earnest conversations I had in 2024. And the truth of the matter is, I would do it all over again. I have no regrets. But everybody was talking about it. I don't want you to just get the clips. I want you to see the whole thing. The link is right here. Check it out. I'm telling you, sometimes you got to have reconciliation after there's been a disagreement. I don't know who you need to forgive or who you need to talk to or who you need to iron it out with, but I'm telling you, you can do it. It is not that deep. It ain't that serious. And life is too short. My favorite rapper, Biggie Smalls, said, I know you heard me on the radio, and that's Ricky Smiley, but now we got to see him on the podcast. He talked about death. He talked about addiction. He talked about dysfunctional families. And he talked about the last year of him being single. You got to see this. You're going to laugh, and you might even cry. Ricky Smiley, ladies and gentlemen, not on the radio, but right here on the Let's Be Clear podcast.
The only thing someone can do is try to get your loved one help and put them in some insurance.
Yeah.
If they high risk. That's just the business. I hate to say that,
Yeah.
or whatever. I know people in the Christian community say you putting words out there, but well, okay, you got insurance for your house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You live
And your car.
Right, and your car. And you on the highway, your car becomes a risk of getting hit. You live in Georgia, your house is a risk of getting affected by a tornado.
Right.
If you live in Florida, you're a risk of a hurricane.
Yeah.
California earthquake.
Yeah.
You have to take care of the business, because if your child is high risk or your uncle is high risk or whatever, you go to try to get him help so he can get better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to prepare for the worst, because you know what's out there. Let's just be real. I know what's out there.
Yeah.
I had a nephew to pass away. I had a niece and a nephew to pass away. They all aged 32. My son, my niece, my nephew, they all passed away aged 32, fentanyl. So if you know what's out there, and stuff, you just have to start preparing yourself. I had set my kids down and told them probably like a year before this happened, and had a conversation at the table. Everybody flew in. I said, listen, we're going to have to prepare ourselves, because I saw it coming.
Wow.
You praying at the same time.
Yeah.
Doing everything you can as a dad, and you praying, but you know what's out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I had to be real with my kids and prepare them.
No, that's
But
heavy.
nothing could have prepared us for when it actually happened.
Yeah.
That didn't make it
lighter or easier.
Lighter or easier, yeah.
Dale Bronner said, we're born looking like our parents, and we die looking like our decisions. One of the critical things I want you to help with, whether or dealing with addiction or otherwise, the responsibility we feel as parents, drum roll, on grown kids. So you talk about kids, people thinking of a 13-year-old, a 16-year-old, an 11-year-old. But how then do you free yourself to say, this was an adult that made that decision? Because you've got parents who are listening, who are watching, who have served themselves a life sentence of not being able to forgive themselves for the decisions adult children have made.
Yeah, I don't feel guilty about anything. And I had family members, because me and my son, I had to put some space between me and my son, because it was things that he's, said, during his addiction to me, while I was driving around Birmingham looking for him to kill him myself, because I was that mad.
Yeah.
Because I'm like a black dad. You just can't say certain stuff to me.
Right.
Like, I'm ready to fight you in the middle of the street. And I didn't have a full understanding that addiction caused that kind of behavior, because my niece and my nephew were totally different. They were still, yes, sir, no, sir, I understand, or whatever. Well, my son was just something, it just affected him differently. I thought he was just being a jerk. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to say anything that will, in his memory. He was a great kid.
No, I get it.
He was a great kid, but drugs and alcohol would come in and turn them into a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I had to create space, but I had to protect the rest of my kids.
Yeah.
I didn't throw them away, because I created space, I was still trying to help him.
Yeah.
Rehab was $70,000, like on the table. Pull your credit card out right now.
Wow.
And it was $70,000. I did it twice.
Wow.
I did the best I could. I sent him to college. I fought for him. When he was at an age where he could decide what parent he wanted to stay with, I fought for him to come stay with me. He stayed with me, and I remember driving him off to Alabama State University, going in there myself, setting up his dorm room and hanging up. We listened to the Biggie and Tupac all the way down 65. And you look back at all of this stuff and say, well, what do I have to feel guilty about? I cook meals, I didn't even, and sometimes they would run, you were gone all the time. I'm like, listen, I'm no different from a mom or dad that's in the military.
Right.
I might be gone performing on the weekend, but I come back during the week, or if I'm gone for a week, you there with my mom and my dad,
right,
or whatever, you in the house or whatever. So we can't feel guilty for having to take care of you. Right. We have to work to take care of you. And some hours are during the time you're home, and some hours are during the time you're not home, or whatever. I did I wasn't a perfect parent, but I did the best I could.
That's all we
for my
expect.
kids.
Yeah.
And when you go back to that video, the video shows it. You know,
No, it's powerful.
When they get a certain age or whatever, you know, you can do what you can, do the best you can for your child. They get a certain age, they have decisions that they have to make. My dad made a bad decision. I lost my dad and my son the same way.
No way.
That's what this book is about. The book connects my dad's death.
Yeah.
To this is gonna blow your mind. I try not to get emotional because I'm in therapy right now for my dad's death. I hadn't even got to my son yet.
How long ago did your father die?
My father died April 11, 1974.
Wow.
And I can tell you every single thing that everybody had on at that funeral on the first 3 rows and where I was sitting. I can tell you everything that happened that Friday night. I can tell you from Smith and Gaston Funeral Home to New St. James Baptist Church. And I remember sitting there watching my grandparents cry like that. And that tear me up. They dead and gone. But that tear me up to this day. I haven't even got to my son yet.
The transparency of Ricky Smiley is one of one. I mean, he really let us in. I'm thankful for him being a brother, for him being a friend, but for him being a real man. I want you to share this with the people in your family so that they understand no family is perfect, but every family has got to find a way to make it work. Click the link so that you and your entire family can watch it, heal, and move on together. When I started this podcast, I was a single man. I'm married, y'all. He's a good man, Savannah. I'm so grateful that on this podcast, I was able to introduce to the world now my wife, Dr. Carrie Bryant, has stolen the show. The first time was the intro. Second was after the wedding. I want to show you clips from both of them so that you can check it out, laugh with us. I'm telling you, the love is absolutely undeniable. People have been high-fiving me all over the country and have talked to me more about these podcasts than any other ones. I love this woman, and I hope you love this podcast. I want you to see it. I want you to love it, and I want you to save it and rewatch it, because if you think you're lonely now, wait until tonight.
How did you get here? What made you go from saying, no, y'all can have that, to now you have her?
That's good, brother.
How did we get? Nobody's supposed to be here. I almost lost the best thing that God had presented towards me. My sister is here, and so after this, I'm going to lay on this same couch and have therapy just to walk through it. Dr. Carey represented everything I ran from in my adult life. I did not want a woman in ministry. I didn't want no preacher. I didn't want nobody strong-willed. I didn't want anybody overly opinionated. The old adage is that girls marry their fathers and boys marry their mothers.
Yep.
I saw my mother 50 feet away and said, no way in the world is this going to happen to me. And the more I fought it, the more I was losing. And Sade gave the soundtrack, Love is Stronger Than Pride. So I had to put my pride aside and realize that this was not happenstance or circumstance. This was providence. And I was grateful that God gave me another opportunity. I did good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Carrie, when he said he almost lost you, what did that look like? What did that look like? What did almost losing you look like?
Hey. I want to interject. I want to interject before she gives her side of the story. Okay. I'm just going to say one thing.
Okay.
I'm going to say one thing and I'm going to yield to her. This is the very first woman in my life to ever block me.
Did.
She didn't block you, did she?
Oh,
she blocked you.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Laterra's on everything.
Email?
Except the church email.
Except the church email.
We
that
got
I
to get
knew-
the Lord's work done.
Listen,
but that's
that
the only way you can communicate with me.
Listen, and I knew HR was reading. Praise the Lord, Pastor Karen. If you can, please call me. So, yes, I'll go back to, I didn't mean to interject on the question, but go ahead.
She blocked you on everything. So
Everything.
Carrie, you blocked him on everything. Why?
Ah.
Listen, y'all. Listen.
Hey.
I blocked him on everything because, so he to me has this alter ego. I don't think he has them anymore, called J-Rock. I don't like J-Rock. J-Rock has his own personality. He does his own thing. And I just felt like we had reached a point where I didn't feel like the things that I was looking for, he was providing. And so I wasn't going to waste any time. I wasn't going to go back and forth. And so I decided, because see, sometimes people, as long as they have access to you, they will continue whatever the situation is. And so for me, I'm not, at a certain point, it's no going back and forth. I'm cutting off your access. So that means you don't get to text me, you don't get my energy, you don't get my spirit, you don't get my affirmation, you don't get any of those things. So if you're not ready for the full package, you don't get the benefits of the package. And because... And because, let me say this, because he is who he is not, can I just, maybe he'll say something different, but I didn't feel like he was accustomed to people telling him no.
Right.
He wasn't accustomed to people drawing a line in the sand. And while I think that he is the most brilliant man on the planet, there is nobody smarter than him to me. He is all of the things. You can be all of the things, but I didn't care about who he was in public space. I cared about how he treated me in private space. So you can have all the anointing in the world on these other days, but when you get off of that stage, how am I feeling and how am I being treated? So there were some things that I felt like he was a little slow on. He was dragging his little feet on. So you want to drag your feet? Then let's cut that access off for a little while. And that's what I did. So I said, the work of the Lord always has to get done. At the time, we were still working together. So I said, when it has something to do with work or business, by all means, you can email me. But there is no other reason for us to be able to communicate outside of that.
Jamal.
Yes.
So how did you feel when she did that? When she made a power move? How did you feel when she did that?
Offended. Yeah, I was like, I'm Rick James.
Therein lies the problem, right there.
So after we got engaged, he called his parents, and Rev C got on the phone in the only way that she can, and she said to me, that they had been praying for me.
Yes.
She said that I was an answered prayer,
Yes.
and that they had been praying for me. She said that if she could have written heaven herself,
My Lord.
if she could have written heaven herself, she couldn't have asked for a better daughter in love.
Yes.
And that she's not said this, but she wanted to make sure that I knew that I was an answer to what they had been asking God for. And she did also say that she believed that the legacy of their family was secured with me.
Woo,
And
that's
so,
heavy now. Don't jump over that too quick.
No, it was very heavy.
Yeah.
It was very, very heavy. And so, but for those of you who know Rev C or had encountered her in any way, you understand how powerful and how amazing she was. And so it meant the world for me. I don't want to say have her approval, but to have her blessing
Yes.
over our relationship and our marriage and our future. And more so than that, because, a parent can be like, oh, this is fine that you all are together.
Right.
But for her to say that she felt confident that the legacy of her family was secured with me is a whole different type of thing. So there were some things that I believe she saw naturally, but that she also saw in the spirit realm that really affirmed me in a way that I didn't know that I needed,
Yes.
but that I was able to receive from her. So it was really a beautiful moment.
What we've never talked about in public space
Mm-hmm.
is talking about when I brought you home to meet my parents.
I was very nervous.
Yes.
I was very nervous. And let me just say this. So we had some conversation around meeting his parents. But there had not been anything definitive, right?
Yes.
And so when he finally was like, I want you to meet my parents, I'm like, okay. I was very, very nervous about it. I asked you if you were nervous because you turn into like a 12-year-old, honestly, with your parents. You love them so much. You have so much honor and respect for them. And so in my mind, I was like, oh my God, if his parents hate me, this is immediately about to be over. It's going to go left. So I was very nervous, but they were very warm. They were very kind, hilarious people. So that made it easier. But how were you feeling about taking me to meet them?
I was a nervous wreck.
Really?
Oh, listen, I didn't know whether it was going to be Azusa, it was going to be Dr. Phil. I don't know if it was going to be the Cosby Show. It could have been any of those things, depending on where the universe was spinning in that moment. And as I said to you, I don't just casually bring people to my parents.
Sure.
Yeah, so for me to do that was a very big deal.
Yeah. And there was some nervousness for me around it because we come from two very different backgrounds.
Yes.
At least I thought.
Yes.
So, I was nervous about just kind of going into the space of being around your parents who have been married for so long and the value that they have, on marriage. My father and my mother were not married when my mom gave birth to me. I don't necessarily come from a rich history of marriages staying together. And so there were so many little things like that I think that I was working through even in my own mind as I was going to meet them. And so a lot of those things came up as well for me, but it turned out to be a beautiful experience.
It was great. They prayed over us. They brought out anointing oil, had communion, had people kneeling, standing up.
Yes, it was beautiful.
No, it was great. You walked out like, wow, I think we married already.
No, I did. I said that to you. It literally felt like it was the divine seal, I think, that God gave to us, the confirmation that we were going in the right path.
Yeah.
And that he was pleased, because I know one thing about your parents and mine as well. Had they not thought that it was the right thing for us to do, they would have said so.
Oh, yes.
And at no point did they ever say that they didn't think that was the case. They definitely gave us wisdom, challenged us to think about some things, but we knew at the end of the day it was something that they were happy with. And I think that made it easier for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel about me going to see your mother?
Well, first of all, I was like, my mama don't even like you.
Yes. False prophet. False prophet.
I was like, I felt like, because you're such a, you're just so smooth. I always say that. You're so smooth. You're such a a warm person. You're a funny person. I was like, she ain't gonna challenge him on nothing. She ain't gonna be like, what is this? What is your expectations? He gonna go down there and woo her. But she said that you were the perfect gentleman, and that you didn't do that you were very humble when you came to talk to her, that you were very humble.
And she was very direct.
Was she?
Oh, what's this meeting for? Why are you here? I got to work today. I like, wait. At least eat the soup first. I'm trying to get to it.
Oh, what are your intentions with my daughter?
She's like, what is this meeting about?
What is this meeting?
I'm like, we're going to get to it in just a minute. I just wanted to spend some time with you.
Listen.
She's like, yeah, I know, but what you want? Yes. I'm like, whoa.
And she is the sweetest person.
No, she's sweet as pie.
No.
But she didn't have no time for frills.
Yes.
Or nothing.
Yes.
And then after that, I met your spiritual father, Bishop Blake.
Yeah.
And I was a nervous wreck.
Yes. He called me.
I like, excuse me, sir, I got to go to the bathroom.
Did you?
I did.
Wow. Why were you so nervous?
I don't know.
You should have been, though, because had he said to me that I don't think that this is the right direction.
Wasn't gonna say that.
You don't know that?
He wasn't going to say that.
How do you figure?
I said to you.
Had the Lord told him that this is...
The Lord wouldn't have told him that.
How do you know?
Because I know what he told me. And I said to you,
yeah.
If at any time God tells you this is not it.
You did.
Oh, I won't even fight you. I won't chase you. If he tell you, I am not Boaz, then go on. And you stayed right there.
Don't put that go on.
No, I'm saying.
Don't put that go on it.
Okay, well, let's fast forward. Suspect is Iman during the day, Harriet Tubman at night.
Suspect took off his orthopedic shoes.
Suspect is running because her car's always broken down.
Suspect running to the barbershop to get that line sprayed in.
Tell him, let's go. I'm late. Go ahead. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. I appreciate you. From the entire Let's Be Clear podcast team to you, make sure you do two things: that you don't miss an episode in 2025. Number two, make sure you subscribe. And I got to add a third one. I need you to make sure that you are a part of our inner circle. It's only $9.99. I need you to do it because there's a whole lot of stuff I'm going to bring you this year. And what's happening in Washington, D.C., you might have to meet me in the Underground Railroad, and it's the only way I'm going to be able to get you a smoke signal. I want you to be a part of it. There are no shades of gray. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. I'm going to be saying it for the rest of the year. God bless you and thank you for rocking with me. The best is yet to come.